Good evening, everyone. It's about 6 o'clock here in the UK on Friday the 17th of September, and a fairly bleak looking situation on VectorVest USA. As you can see, pretty much all of the measures of the trend on VectorVest are down, and in particular the buy-sell ratio has fallen for another day. The advice on VectorVest is to do nothing and watch your stops very carefully. That's darn good advice. So what's happened today? If we have a look at the S&P, that's the 5-minute chart, folks, and that's the low that was brought in the other day, and as you can see, trading in a range here. I'll show you why these lows occurred in a second, and that's the open today, and it traded inside the first 5-minute bar for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes in total, and then it fell to that low, and I managed to get most of that. I'm glad to report. So let's have a look, and if we have a look at the futures market, where sometimes the levels, the fib levels are actually more important than on the spot market. Those lows, as I pointed out before, folks, are 62% of that last range. The stochastic is showing reverse divergence, but nevertheless this is an incredibly important level at around those lows, 4430 odd, 4440. Through that, then we've probably got another 100 points on the downside at least. And I pointed out that target based on a rising wedge on the spot market in the last video. So a situation not to be buying stocks, a situation to be watching your stop losses very carefully indeed. I got stopped out of Goldman Sachs at entry, but I made a little bit in the first bit. Reasonably pleased with the rest of them. If I in fact chart those, there's Deckers, and it's going to take a bit of energy and a good day to get through the old high, but very pleased with that. Stops at entry already. HCA is going well. Again, another spring setup, the same thing. Not quite as pretty this time, but a really good trade. I need to bring the stop up underneath that low. And Square, I have a position in Square. I was taken on the weekly chart a while back. It's underwater by $7 or $8. However, if I was, this looks very good to me. This is a textbook Gartley pattern, a thrust and a three-wave pullback. As you can see, it come off the 78.6 to the tick. If I didn't have, I don't add to positions that are underwater, so I'm not going to add to this, but this looks very good indeed if the general market should turn. So let's just be on watch your stops. If you've got positions, watch them very carefully. Now, the transitory team, those people who believe that inflation's transitory, got a shot in the arm this week with the US CPI numbers showing that inflation fell 0.3% in August as opposed to 0.5% in July, and that caused the gold price to fall out of bed, and that's exactly what happened just about here. Gold is at a very important level now. It's pulled back in 3 waves here, very similar pattern to that of the pattern on Square, and this level needs to hold. I've got 2 positions in gold. I'm not that unhappy with them because they paid really, really good dividends, but compared to the rest of the portfolio, they've done nothing at all, and certainly a line in the sand would be this 1689 level. If the gold price falls below that level, there's one hell of a lot of air on the downside, so those will have to be got rid of. Given them far too much room, I think the rest of the portfolio has done well, and probably given them a little bit too much room based on that. The UK market, well, the FTSE's off another 60 or 70 points today. I would expect this pointer will move from neutral into the red today. And in my blog, I talked about POLR. Now, I haven't got the share as yet, but I'll tell you the strategy in a second when I pull it up. POLR. Now, this was in fact suggested by one of our subscribers, and it looks really, really good. As you can see, the share's undervalued. It's got a huge RV, it's got a huge RS. Short-term trend is good, and the VST is good, and the longer term trend is good, should grow earnings at 24% next year. It also pays an exceptionally good dividend, and that dividend of 4% is covered by an 8% earnings yield. So this is a quality outfit, and you'll see that's reflected in the chart. There's the chart, folks. Earnings per share growing strongly, and that's the VectorVest stop loss. As you can see, it's pulled back with the overall market, and it's now charted a spring pattern. I'm sure that doesn't surprise you. It's found resistance, came back, didn't make a new high, it's gone right back again, and it had a very, very good day today. So what I said in my little blog was two things. One, the color yard in VectorVest must tell us that it's safe to buy stocks, and Polar should in fact print a VectorVest buy signal. If that's the case, then this thing should really move up strongly. It's moved up about 3% today, which I think is very good on a fairly poor day in the market. So that's something that I'll be looking to add relatively quickly. The rest of the portfolio, apart from those two gold stocks, doing well. Games Workshop, my average on Games Workshop, I'm well in the money in Games Workshop, but certainly it came back this week based on reduced dividend, and secondly, talk about increased costs, which the market interpreted as a fall in profits for next year, or at least a fall in the growth of profits for next year. So the share has been trying to get through an old top for a heck of a long time now, and back off there. I think the share is still fine, and if anything, it's probably a good place to pick up a few more of them. Everything else is doing quite well, and as you can see, Crichton's at the top. Cape had a tremendous week, folks, with that deal that I'm sure you've all read about. The share is up, a third, more than a third since I bought into it. I only bought into it about a couple of months ago. Lion Trust has done well. JD's held on to that earnings gap. Kainos moved up again. Halma just keeps going, and the construction stock starting to put in a little bit of a move as well. So Pershing Square, sooner or later this share is going to move. It's been stuck in a range now for one heck of a long time. It's been bought along those lows every time, and as you can see, the VectorVest valuation is a long way up the page. Earnings per share maybe not as smooth as I would like here. All right, so I'm holding that. It seems to be going okay. Again, the two problem children are Polymetal and Pan-African Resources. That level in gold that I pointed out a moment ago needs to hold for me. If it doesn't hold, those will have to go. I'm without a doubt, I've given them too much room. I hope that if the general market turns, and that I'll be adding Polar to that relatively soon. I'm also looking, of course, at SLP, and I'm also looking at Jubilee. I haven't got an entry in those. I'll look at them and I'll report on those on Monday afternoon at the VectorVest Q&A. That's 1:30 next Monday afternoon, folks. I look forward to seeing you all there. This market's come a very, very long way. I'm still optimistic. September into October is traditionally a bad month, and but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see more downside before we start to get a nice move up into Christmas. Thanks very much indeed. Bye.